Hey everyone, welcome to the Bible Belt Bros podcast. I'm here on an afternoon with my friend Andrew, who is also the co-host and currently adjusting his mic awkwardly. Yeah. It's very okay.
You got us a new setup, Dusty, and it's different, and I'm trying to fix it to how I like it.
Gotcha. Well, Andrew, guess what?
What?
We actually have a sponsor for this episode today.
Heck yeah.
Paying those hosting fees, baby. No, it's not Brahms. You know, we've had Brahms as a sponsor, I think, or at least I meant to do that as a joke because I get coupons from them. So, like buy one, get one. So, no, today we actually have another podcast. So if you love this podcast, then you might love another podcast. And I'm a dog person, and Andrew's a dog person.
I mean, I have two of them.
You have two of them, so that counts as dog people. And so what better sponsor to have than a podcast with the dog owner? I've not practiced this, Andrew, and I'm a terrible reader, so we'll see how this goes, and hopefully...
We'll see if you do these in the future.
We'll see if we get any more sponsorships. Okay, if you're listening to this, then we know you enjoy a great podcast filled with useful information presented in fun and engaging ways. Okay, so that's not our podcast. We're just full of less information, but you get the point. In fact, if you are like us and dog lovers, correct, we both love dogs, and that's why we know you would be like us, and you would love to add a new podcast to your list of podcasts that you like to listen to. And this podcast that you should be listening to is called The Jack Russell Parents, to your weekly listening routine. Each Monday, married hosts Becca and Gabe explore all the heartfelt, humbling, and hilarious stories that all dog parents can relate to. They interview dog-centric artists and authors, as well as certified trainers with excellent advice to help you improve your dog parenting. We've gone to trainers.
Yeah, we use the same one.
We use the same trainer. And I tell you what, it makes a world of a difference. Does. Golly, I would never have another dog without doing the whole training process. I mean, it's grueling, but it is
it wasn't really grueling for me because I did the boot camp and sent my dog to her for a couple weeks.
Well, I did that, but then we had like a year of weekly follow-ups.
I didn't do a year of weekly follow-ups.
Okay. I interrupted what I was reading. On Thursdays, they drop fast-paced Zoomisodes, highlighted the latest dog-loving entertainment and viral videos. You can find the Jack Russell Parents podcast at jackrussellparents.com. Crap, they have a website. We don't. Crap. On Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at JRT Podcast, or by searching Jack Russell Parents on your favorite podcast episode, platform, thing. Check them out. We also have a link in the description because I'm sure you probably didn't understand what I just said. But Jack Russell Podcast, listen to it. Is that how you're supposed to do those? I'm not really.
No, I think you're going to redo that.
Are you? Nah, I think I'll submit it. We'll see. That's. Listen, it's the Bible Belt Bros podcast where we do things different, and you'll different. It's different, and it's a dog podcast. We're dog people, so again, let's talk about our dog training, right? So you just did the boot camp, and then you just stuck with the basics. Is that kind of...
Yeah, we did the 2 boot camps, and then we did 1 training class, but that was mainly for my wife because I have a big dog that is very intimidating, and my wife was still intimidated after the second boot.
She still is kind of intimidated. Anytime Darcy's over and they're playing, she always is like, what's going to happen? Like, worst case scenario in her mind, bloodbath.
It's always worst case scenario when it comes to my dog, so...
We did the week thing or 2-week thing, and that's basically the mindingness, like the potty training and the spray, like the no. We use the word and it
the leave it and the
leave it when it comes to treats and so the basic sit stays, weights, all those kind of things. And then we did weekly trainings where we went in public. And I honestly think that it was basically wherever the dog trainer needed to go for the week was where we went. Yeah. It's like, all right, let's what's on my shopping? Home Depot. We're going to Home Depot today, but
Tractor Supply.
But it just helped us train Darcy and teach Darcy that when she's in public, she's a working dog at that point, and she is to mind us more than her environment. She's got her good citizens test. There's like a lot of things that they have to do. Like one's a sit and wait for like 5 or 10 minutes while we go to the other side of the store, and she can't leave that spot. Like that was one of the tests to pass for her good citizens. Good canine citizen, something like that.
Yeah, good canine citizen.
And so really dog training is a lot about training us as humans to engage and communicate with an animal in a way that
works.
That works. Because you have those people that have these long conversations with their dogs. Like, I can't believe you just went and chewed on that. And like they don't have a clue what
No. They lost you at the second word.
There's a Simpsons episode I just watched. It's probably season 2 or 3 that we're at right now, and it's about they're getting ready to sell their dog or give their dog away because the dogs chews everything. Homer bought like a brand new set of Nike shoes, and then the dog chews it up, and he's like, "We're getting rid of the dog." And then Bart takes the dog to training school, and at the very end, Bart's just like, I just really wish that you would sit and stay, and I really wish that you would just mind because I don't want to leave you, but if I could just get you to sit. And the dog it shows what the dog's hearing. The dog hears, blah, 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 sit, blah, 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 blah. So it's like learn the 1 or 2 words.
Yeah, exactly.
And the dog sat. And so it's just pretty funny. That's what reminds me of Darcy is, if I tell her to sit, she will sit. If I tell her to leave it, she will leave it. She does that in public just as much as at her home. At her home, she tends to have a little bit more flexibility, but that's because I have ended up
having more flexibility,
giving that flexibility away. So now she is comfortable at home. She can maybe not come directly to me right away and stuff like that. Positive reinforcement dog training is what we did. We used a spray bottle. Is that what you did? Spray bottle?
Yes.
So you would and spray for no instead of, I don't know, whatever people do.
That way you could just at any time just pick up a spray bottle and they would know.
Yeah, we'd have at some point, it was like a really hot summer in Oklahoma, and it got to the point where we were spraying her, and she was more enjoying the spray than actually saying, not wanting it, Right. So the spray bottle stopped for us. I do have like it's a collar that beeps, shocks, or vibrates, and I have the shock to like 25 out of 100. I've shocked myself at 40, and it like tickled. So it's just more of a scary thing. But we put that collar on here, and all I have to do is beep it, and she'll come right to us. So like she knows she has the collar on, and now she's working, and it's been the thing that's worked the best after the water bottle ended up just being more of a nice mist on a summer afternoon. But I did want to talk about a dog training in the Bible talks about having faith like a child, having faith in Christ and faith is an action, those kind of things. And so kind of got me thinking about the way my dog minds me. Is she minding me out of fear? Is she minding me out of faith? And so I just kind of wanted to have your thought process on.
Or is she minding you out of rewards? Because we use positive reinforcement.
Treats. She loves, my Darcy loves a good dog treat. Yeah. What are your thoughts when it comes to dogs minding? Like why are they minding us? Why do they choose to listen to us over the squirrel running through the yard?
I would probably say because we are their safety. I mean, we provide everything for them, their food, their water, their shelter, everything. Honestly, I don't know, because you didn't give me any time to think about this.
You never give me any time to think about things that...
It's true.
So I wanted to throw you a curve. I didn't really think much about it either. Just kind of like one of those thoughts on the pot, that you just kind of have, and you're like, I wonder if...
Well, and you also
there's something to this.
You also have me out of my environment. You changed it all up.
It's not a night podcast. It's not a morning podcast. It's like between work and home podcast.
And I'm still messing with this microphone, trying to figure this out.
This guy's going to have so many excuses. It's crazy.
And my fantasy team won and lost last week. And
you don't know if you're happy or sad. It's just...
All these reasons, man, I don't know.
I'm getting to the point in my fantasy pick'em league that I'm just going to start picking the opposite.
Exactly.
I am doing so terrible. And last year I got second place. And this year I have done just horrible. And some of it's just there are teams like Jacksonville beating Buffalo. Like what it was recently, the Dolphins beat the Ravens, and I was just that was the one time.
Night.
Normally Thursday games, I like drop because Thursdays anything can happen, short weeks,
right,
all that kind of stuff.
But the Ravens came off,
but
a
it
bye
hadn't
week.
been happening like that, and so then I was like, fine, I'm not going to do my strategy, and then my strategy would have worked, which was still betting the Ravens, but like putting the point value so low just in case something happened. So I'm really kind of ticked off at myself. Not sticking
So
to
my
guns.
strategy is just don't play Thursday night, people, because Thursday night games usually aren't very productive.
Yeah.
But and I should have done that last night.
Well, this is a pick'em league, so I don't have a choice.
Oh, gotcha.
I just pick the winner of the games and put a point value to it. But that's why I always do that strategy and be like, you never know. Short week, especially with COVID protocols, you don't know, like somebody might be
short week,
out.
but the Ravens came off a bye. So
yeah, so you were expecting
a blowout.
everyone was expecting, and that seems like on the fantasy and the betting sides of things, everyone.
This year, you have to do the opposite this year. It's so crazy.
And it's just to stick to your guns and like go with it is one of the hardest decisions to make.
Right. Like picking Houston's defense. It's like, really?
Yeah. Should I? I mean, am I making the right choice?
I know I'm not, but I got to do this. I don't have the faith for it.
Good segue. Back to faith. So part of me was wondering if it is faith. Like if Darcy has faith because she relies on us.
Right.
So much. That she has faith that what I'm saying and telling her to do is for her benefit. Is one of the thoughts. But the second thought would be that there is the reward mentality. I think the way our trainer had said it was like she has a desire to please us.
Right.
And so she has a desire to get good reaction out of us and to do the right thing, which could still be fake. Like, I don't know. So we can still twist it to a Christian thing. Like, we should have a desire to please God just the same way as our dog desires to please us, but I don't know. I was thinking it was more fate, like, because when she's getting close to the road and she immediately turns around. I don't need to call her. I don't need anything. She immediately turns around.
Right.
If she sees a squirrel and we're in public and she immediately, like, looks at me, stops, gets to the reset position that we have. She heals up, gets to where she's supposed to be. Recently, we've even started walking her without a leash, and she'll stay right beside us. Or if I say heel or easy, she'll slow down till we catch back up. It's so weird. She pulls less when she's not on a collar, which is another life principle, like sometimes the chains that you bound yourself to don't allow you to make the right decisions, and you're testing those chains.
Right.
But if those restrictions are gone, you tend to not go outside those restrictions. Dog's faith was just kind of something that was on my mind recently. Especially with the Jack Russell podcast, a second ad spot that we are doing not.
Do you want to try and read it again?
No. I can say this. Becca and Gabe explore the heartfelt and humbling and hilarious stories that all dog parents can relate to. JackRussellParents.com. There.
Let's see. Are there any stories that you and I relate to when... Listen... That was my phone because this afternoon podcast has me thrown off a bit.
Any stories that I can relate to with what?
That part you just read. Stories that all dog parents...
heartfelt and dog-related. I could say that our dog has more Instagram followers than Bible Belt Bros.
Yeah, we can't relate to that because your dog is beating us. What can we relate to? Your dog is more famous than we are, dude.
My dog has more followers than this podcast.
And your dog can't even take a picture.
She can't. She never looks in the camera. She always knows. She's like that.
She's like, stop exploiting me, parents.
I'm not seeing a dime of this.
So, do you think Aaron Rodgers had faith?
Faith in Joe Rogan. Yeah, what do you think of the situation? Not necessarily your thoughts on
COVID
vaccinated, but like just okay. So even if he said, because he was the biggest story that the most of the media is mad about, because he was only fined $14,500.
$14,500.
He was only fined for not wearing a mask at
the facility.
No, not even that. He wore them inside the facility at the press conferences after games.
Oh, it was that, yes.
After an investigation, they found no other things. And then the typical fashion when you come into these things is that, well, if you agree with the reasoning of Aaron Rodgers, then you're like, yeah, see, he did everything fine minus the one thing. And his whole point was, hey, you're vaccinated. I tested this morning.
Right.
I'm fine. Why are we still scared? Why are we like having to do all of this? We're all here tested. That was his whole reasoning.
Right.
And not everybody in the stadium's tested. He had 100,000 people in the stadium today. They didn't get tested as they walked in the doors, those kind of things. But if you're disagreed with him, most of the people are mad because now after an investigation, he's found innocent, basically, of what people are accusing him of lying to the NFL, lying to his teammates, not following protocols. So he's found innocent of all that. But nobody cares. If you disagreed with Rodgers, nobody cares about what he did actually do. They're now mad. Well, he lied to us because I did not know what immunized meant, and so I didn't ask a follow-up question. Is basically what people are mad of. And so I do because I listen to the Pat McAfee show, which is nothing like this show if you are listening here because we don't say wordy dirds, but I like that show, and he just gave him a platform to maybe say too much, but you just gave him a platform to rant without any interruption. And, that's why he goes on that show, is because most people would interrupt and debate and not actually listen to somebody's full side of the story. So it was very interesting to me, just typical fashion. That's why I typically don't get in those arguments on Facebook or anything like that, is because
it's useless.
Like, I saw somebody doing a live on TikTok the other day, and it was like, I'll debate with you on COVID stuff. And I was like, if I was to go on there, which I wouldn't because you're some 20-year-old punk, who cares? But if I was to go on there, I would but first I would say I'm not debating because you're not going to convince me, and I'm not going to convince you. And so what's the point?
Exactly.
Like, there is no point of debating. There's just, I'm going to just respect your decision. I'm going to love you as a person. And, one of us is wrong. We don't know which one,
Oh, I know which one.
Okay. Yeah, of course, Andrew knows which one. But one of us is wrong. We don't know which one. But you can still, live together in peace and harmony.
The what?
I don't know. I just couldn't figure out how to end a sentence. And so then I just said words, peace and harmony, and it happened.
So I just mixed a couple words
together. So now I just said it again, and it still makes less sense than what it made the first time I said it.
We don't use those words on this podcast? No.
Yeah. Well, do you like to get into Facebook wars?
No.
Some people do.
I don't even like getting on Facebook.
That's true. Now we're just on the random stuff part of the podcast. Yeah. But I heard something really funny, Andrew, that you threatened your daughter to... I think you grounded her from her phone, and then you threatened to take away her iPhone and replace it with an Android.
Yes.
And that was more effective to her, I think, than it was to actually ground her from the phone in general.
Yes.
So I was playing at church because, I did retire from youth ministry and then was asked to play at church the next 2 weeks. So I guess I'm still kind of somewhat involved, in, I don't know. But your daughter was there and she was like, Dusty, my dad threatened to give me an Android phone instead of an iPhone. And I was, what? That's hilarious. And I respect it. That's pretty funny. Do you have any other creative ways that you've punished your child? Because that's pretty hilarious.
That was actually quite funny. Because I actually knew how effective that would be. Because she had an Android phone at the beginning of the school year, either last year or this year, and she came home begging for an iPhone. And we eventually caved in because we spoil her and gave her an iPhone. When she got in trouble last year, I was like, you know what? The one thing she cares most about is that phone, so I'm going to give her an Android. That was a...
So if you're a dad out there and you can't get through to your kid, how am I gonna? I can't just take the phone away because they need the phone for situations when they're in school and they need a ride. threaten to get them an Android phone.
Yeah.
And that will, because then you're still getting what you need.
Yep.
Providing the reasons that you need them to have the phone, but you're taking away the cool factor.
Exactly.
Of having an iPhone.
Or give them like a flip phone or something like that.
Yes, a drug dealer phone.
Yes.
Get them one of those babies.
The only reason I wasn't going to give her a flip phone was because we have a tracker on her phone. We have Life 360, so we know where she's at all the time.
So you need data.
Yeah, well, we need a smartphone.
My dad would say, my flip phones work best than any phone I've ever had in my entire life, probably. I'm pretty sure those words will come out of his mouth.
Whatever, that Nokia brick phone was unbreakable.
Yeah. Remember we used to... Andrew and I, we've been friends too long. We were friends when cell phones became a thing.
Yeah.
And so we bought the same Nokia cell phone because it was one of those phones where you could, like, there was a football game that was just X's and O's that ran around.
Yep.
And you, like, I pick a play and then he'd pick a play. Then we put our phones, like, facing each other and it would run the play. And whatever defensive play you chose would go and whatever offensive play I chose would go and it would have a result.
That game was fun.
Remember that? We used to play at work just, like, all the time. Like,
that game was fun.
Games were so simple.
Right. They were fun, and now they just
fun. Now we're getting ready to live in the metaverse, where we're all just going to be on VR all day.
I mean, you got your MetaMask right here.
I do have a VR. I do think some of the concepts are cool. There was a Joe Rogan thing that I listened to today. It was talking about the fact that if a generation grows up and VR is their only thing, that they really know that they go to school in VR, you can go to work environments in VR, and you don't actually have to contribute into society in like a physical fashion. Like that the power grid would be the next nuclear bomb. Destroying a power grid after a generation who's never contributed to society will no longer know how to contribute to society.
Yeah.
Families will get... because people aren't going to be meeting each other as much. So family, like kids and stuff like that will go lower. People will be grouping lower. So it was just an interesting concept of like, you could destroy a power grid. And kind of like that movie WALL-E. I think that was the same concept where they basically could no longer be outside of, if you took away their virtual reality stuff, they would not know how to survive.
Well, if we want to know what's going to happen in 30 years, just watch The Simpsons and it'll tell you.
That is true. And I am going through The Simpsons slowly.
See if when they got into VR, virtual reality, and then
I'll look for that episode.
Kind of tell us what they did in that episode, and we'll know that's what's going to happen in the near future.
Yeah, that's where it's going to happen.
And then we're going to wage some bets and put some money in the stocks and become millionaires.
Well, you should probably put some stock into Facebook.
It's not Facebook anymore.
Some people, put some stock into the Meta World Peace, Meta Universe, Meta.
Did he know?
Maybe he's a time traveler. Maybe Meta knew Meta before it was Meta.
And he was predicting world peace.
Revelations, one currency. It's all online.
It's all meta coin.
All meta coin. Isn't that one of the things they're trying to do is do their own currency inside Facebook?
Yep.
Own crypto that you have to have. Dude.
It's happening.
This world, man.
I don't know. That whole one currency kind of went out the window when crypto was birthed. Because there are now hundreds and thousands of different cryptos.
Yeah, I've never understood I've never done a study in Revelations. I've never cared to do a study in Revelations because I think it's just a bunch of people trying to guess the future without knowing the future and spending a lot of time on the future instead of the present. I'm probably wrong in that situation, but I've never got too into it, like Mark of the Beast and stuff like that. Some people talk about the vaccine, like they're injecting you with some sort of thing. I'm like, I don't know what's going on nowadays, but listen, they already have my license, they have my photo ID, they have my face that matches my...
Listen, I was in the military and we couldn't even track our own trucks when we were on the battlefield. I really doubt that in the 10 years that I got, 5 years since I got out of the military, that they were able to create a tracking chip that just goes under your...
That is true.
It doesn't work.
Andrew, who's been in the military, where most of our budget goes to as a nation, and yet we had what was called
Blue Force trackers, and the tracking systems never worked.
They couldn't even get their Life 360 to work on their trucks.
Exactly.
Bringing it back to the beginning. So, all right. Well, I just thought, what are your thoughts on faith and dogs? Are they listening to us because of faith, or are they listening to us because of fear, or are they listening to us for rewards? Just an interesting concept. So, because then when you look at the way I react to the gospel, how am I? Am I doing it for faith? Am I doing it for fear? Or am I doing it for the rewards? You know,
definitely rewards. I want heaven.
Yeah, you want heaven, exactly. And so there's a lot of reasons why people listen and follow Christ and the Bible and their leaders, the spiritual leaders here on earth. Which one's right? Or is it all kind of right? Do you need a little bit of fear to match up with that faith, knowing that there's a reward? Oh, snappies.
Okay.
Okay.
And on that note.
Well, I'm glad you guys listened to the podcast. Hopefully you got to this point where we're done. Hopefully you haven't stopped it by now. And if you had stopped it by now you're like, why haven't I stopped it yet? But have a good one. We'll see you next week.
Take it easy.